Hello, viewers, and welcome to the second episode of Your Doctor Knows the Best. Today we have Dr. Vivek Chaturvedi with us. Professor Dr. Vivek Chaturvedi is a highly experienced and acclaimed cardiologist having more than 15 years of experience. He has served as Professor of Cardiology and in charge of arrhythmia and electrophysiology services at GB Pant Hospital in New Delhi. He is a national authority in the field of electrophysiology, radio frequency ablation, and complex devices implantations. I want to welcome you to the second episode of Your Doctor Knows the Best. According to various data, we have witnessed that the number of cases have gone higher in the second wave in comparison to the first wave. So, how are the cases of coronavirus different in heart patients and how serious can conditions develop once a heart patient contracts the virus?
Okay, so that's a very good question. As we have seen that in the second wave, Corona has spared no one, right? From children to very old people, everybody has got affected, including heart patients. So the tendency to get the infection is the same, whether you have a heart disease or no. However, once you have the heart disease, then the chances of having serious COVID pneumonia or having complications because of COVID increase multiple fold in presence of heart disease. So patients with heart disease tend to do worse. They have aggravation of their pre-existing heart disease. They can develop arrhythmias. They can develop heart attacks, sudden death. They also may get more severe COVID pneumonia as the commonest problem with COVID. So overall, heart disease patients have the same risk, but once they get COVID, they have more serious COVID and they get more complications.
So, how is COVID 19 affecting the rate of recovery and also how is it contributing to heart attacks?
So this is a very important question, and a lot of research is going on even now. There are many ways in which COVID can affect the heart. So, right from the very first reason, and that is, I think, the commonest heart problems in COVID happen because somebody has already got an underlying heart disease, and that has got aggravated. Also, patients with COVID, they get intensive care treatment and their blood pressure falls, their oxygen level falls, they can get different electrolyte imbalances, they can get kidney failure. All these things have a bad effect on the heart. Not only that, COVID can directly affect the heart muscle also and cause depression of heart function. COVID can actually also activate the dormant plaques lying in the heart vessels. So what that means is that the heart vessels which are supplying blood to the heart, they have some narrowings which are commonly the cause of heart attack. When these narrowings they rupture, they cause complete occlusion of the vessel, complete blocking of the vessel, and this kind of a reaction is called plaque rupture. And COVID is now been shown to increase the tendency for plaque rupture in these patients. Somebody who had stable heart disease can suddenly get a heart attack or a sudden death because of that. Then COVID can also cause increased arrhythmias. So arrhythmias are abnormalities in heart rate and rhythm, and they can also get increased. Besides that, because COVID has profound effect on the lung, and lung is very intricately linked to the heart, and whatever if the lung pressures rise, then it causes a strain on the right side of the heart, and that can again cause problems on the right side and arrhythmias also. So these are the main ways by which COVID can affect the heart. Also, some drugs which are given for COVID can also cause heart problems.
In such a case, what are the possible remedies and how can patients keep themselves away from these problems?
Yes, so it's a very good question, and the answer is I think the most simple and most effective way is to not get COVID at all. So the big tenets of avoiding COVID nowadays in today's era are: one is masking, which is very important. I hear people saying that masking is not helping people. So many people got COVID in second wave. We were wearing masks. So how did it help us? Well, it did help, because you may still get COVID, but you are likely to get less serious COVID. So a very good example is that if you go out in the rain with an umbrella, if the rain is mild, you're completely protected. But if it is torrential downpour, then you will get little bit wet, but you will never get drenched. So the second wave of COVID was like a torrential downpour, and people who were wearing masks, who were using umbrella, they got little bit wet, but they did not get drenched. So masking, I think, is the most important thing. Masking indoors also is very important because now we know that it travels through air also. So especially if you're indoors in closed spaces where is poor ventilation, there are many people who are speaking or shouting or singing, things like that. So all of that can cause transmission of COVID, and so masking is equally important indoors also. Then the second most important thing is obviously keeping a safe distance. uh, Again, the chances of serious COVID decrease if you are reasonably away from the other person. And then the third and most obviously the biggest point of interest right now is vaccine, because there is no doubt in anybody's mind that if you get vaccinated, then the chances of getting serious COVID are, they are not zero, but they are largely eliminated. So again, like an umbrella. So basically, these three, and then general hygiene and washing your hands and all those things. This is the most important treatment for any heart disease patient can have, because once you get COVID, then the reaction is unpredictable. Most of the people get off fine. Many of my patients with very bad heart failure, very bad heart disease have got out fine. But some of them do get very bad COVID pneumonia. And in those people, good support with oxygen, steroids, and other things does help a lot. For heart, most of the care given during COVID is supportive. So you need to keep a good monitor over the heart problems and symptoms, and then address the issues as and when they arise. A lot of people get heart attacks, and in those cases, either we give clot busting drugs or we open the artery by primary angioplasty. If patients have heart rhythm problems, then we have medicines for those as well. What we are seeing now is another important aspect of COVID after this second wave is receding now, and that is post-acute COVID syndrome, PACS. And that is, people are having a lot of mild irritating symptoms like constant chest pain, racing heart rate, dizziness on walking, and all those things. So these are again because of certain autonomic system changes which corona can do. And for that, the best treatment is to give plenty of water to drink. Summers anyways in North India right now, across all over India, obviously, and it's quite hot here. Take good amount of salt if it is not asked, if it is, unless it is prohibited by your doctor. And then we can control the heart rate by giving some drugs temporarily, because approximately till 3 months these problems remain. Then there are people who are prone to getting sudden death or collapsing after a acute COVID has finished. And these patients, some of them are the ones who have had bad COVID and they came out, but the tendency of clotting, which is a very marked feature of COVID, serious COVID infection, that clotting tendency remains. So in such patients nowadays, we give blood thinners for extended period of time in low dose so that they don't get clotting in the dangerous parts of the body. So these are the main ways we can try to control heart problems in patients with COVID.
So when we talk about keeping ourselves safe from COVID, I think the most important thing which comes out is vaccination. So, sir, how much safe is it for the heart patients to take vaccine? And in any case, do they need to take prior confirmation from the doctors?
This is a very good question you've asked. Unfortunately, in the beginning, because you see, if you look at the journey of vaccines for human beings, they've taken decades to develop. Once they have developed, then, you give them, and we have seen their safety for, decades and decades altogether, like polio or DPT or hepatitis. They were developed over a long period of time, and then they've been given for a long period of time, so we know their safety. Now, this is a very, very different situation. Within 1 year, our scientists across the world have put together their efforts and come out with a vaccine which is quite effective. It does have some side effects in few people, and but in the interest of science and of health of people, the vaccines have been rolled out uh, across the world. And it is a testimony to modern science that these vaccines, despite being developed in so short time, have been found to have remarkably effective and with very few side effects. To answer your question in single word, yes, everybody should take a vaccine irrespective of their heart status. In the beginning, somewhere near 4 or 5 months ago, there were some government directives that people with heart disease need to take special permission from their doctors and all that, but that has all been withdrawn because it's been found now that they're effective. Most important thing is do not stop your medicines. Do not stop your medicines before taking the vaccine. We see patients coming back with heart attacks because they have stopped their blood thinners. So that is very important. Do not stop your medicines. There are only very special kind of blood thinners which some people take with atrial fibrillation or who have had a valve surgery. And in those cases, the doctor can advise you. You need to just maybe delay the dose on that day when you're taking the vaccine to be taken after the vaccine has been given. Otherwise, simple pressure on the arm where the vaccine was given is all for for about 10 minutes is all that is required to have good amount of bleeding control there. So I think one need not worry about at all about vaccines in this thing. In fact, as I said, because heart disease patients are the ones who get serious COVID and who are more at risk for developing complications. So heart disease patients should definitely get the vaccine.
So, since so many vaccines have rolled out in the market, as a cardiologist, which vaccine would you prefer or suggest to your patients?
Yes. So again, it's a very good question. I think as far as their efficacy is concerned, broadly speaking, whichever ones are available in India today, they're almost all the same. So there is no cause of concern. Whichever one is available to you, lot of people have got COVID, at least in Delhi, because they kept on trying to decide which one they should take. They did not take what was available to them, and they deferred it, and then so many of them got COVID, bad COVID, because they could not decide. They thought, let's wait for the better one. These are all very good vaccines. They are remarkably safe. Their problems of serious side effects are probably less than 1 in 10,000, which is very, very low side effect. So go ahead and take whatever is available to you in the first go. Having said that, there is some indication from the European countries that younger people, there might be some problems, although very, very rarely, of blood clotting with Covishield. So if you are young and if you have options of both, then you may consider, the pros and cons. Covaxin is very good, but it is not recognized internationally, while Covishield has been given worldwide. But it does have that very minute risk of increased clotting in younger people. So again, I will try to reiterate to put it or summarize it. All of them are equally good as far as general public is concerned. Please go ahead and take whatever is available to you.
So we have also got another question, which is what is a D-dimer condition, and what are the chances of fatality if the D-dimer condition is abnormal?
Okay. So D-dimer is a blood test. This test, to put it simply, tells us that there might be increased chance of blood clotting inside the body, especially on the vein side or the unoxygenated side of the body. So in the veins of the legs or in the pulmonary artery, which is carrying the the blood to the lungs for oxygenation. So initially it was tested. It's been there for a long time, and it has been tested usually to look for patients with pulmonary embolism, which is a life-threatening condition, in which clots can go from the veins of the legs or from other places into the lungs, and that can be life-threatening also. Having said that, D-dimer is also increased with several other conditions. It can increase with inflammation like fever or with COVID itself also, which is an inflammation. And that is why a single value which is raised mildly does not mean a lot. So if you have highly elevated levels, 4 or 5 times the normal, then obviously it is of concern, and it might mean that you have very high risk of a blood clot somewhere in the arteries, or of developing a clotting condition. It has also been used in some studies to decide whether a blood thinner needs to be given after you had serious COVID. Like I told you earlier, after serious COVID, the chances of clotting in the body increase. And one of the ways we come to know of that is increased D-dimer test. But because it is a little bit non-specific, one cannot rely entirely or solely on this particular test. So you have to put every kind of clinical picture in together and then decide. So this time, like we saw, I came across many people who got their D-dimer done and then decided to start blood thinners on their own, which is a very dangerous thing to do. So again, D-dimer is a test which may tell us about increased clotting tendency in the body, but it is very non-specific. It can be raised in many other conditions, including simple COVID infection also. So it has to be taken together with other parts of the clinical picture and then taken into consideration for deciding treatment.
So you just spoke about a D-dimer score. So what is a healthy D-dimer range, and in which condition should a person consider getting hospitalized?
So there are different assays available for D-dimer. There is, some are the upper limit of normal is zero point 0.5. For some of them, the upper limit of or normal is 500. There is no single cutoff value, like I said, which on which you would decide to admit the patient. As I said before, D-dimer is not decided, not doesn't decide the treatment at all. It is just part of a jigsaw puzzle in which you put other pieces and then you take the decision. Okay. In admitted patients who are already in ICU, if it is running into thousands, then one does look for, one does a CT scan to look for pulmonary embolism and other things. But for all effective purposes, please remember that D-dimer is nothing magical. It is just a test which has a lot of non-specificity to it. It may be increased seriously, but it may be increased without serious condition also, and hence it should not be used on its own to decide treatment.
In the United States, they have received around 1,200 cases of heart inflammation after they have taken the second dose of their vaccine. So, sir, how are the cases different in India, and what measures can be taken to control the situation of heart inflammation?
So, specifically in Europe, Israel and in US, the vaccines people are getting are mostly a type of different new vaccines called mRNA vaccines. These mRNA vaccines are a scientific revolutionary breakthrough. As I mentioned before, that it's a very new technology. It is remarkably effective, probably a little bit more effective than the usual adenovirus vaccines or the killed vaccine that we are getting in India. But it does have some immunological problems, and as you said, some inflammation of the heart, pericardial effusion, myocarditis has been reported, but it is still exceedingly few cases. In India, we are, anecdotally, some people are saying that, somebody got a heart attack or this or that. But unfortunately, there is no strong causal linkage to vaccine which has been, established in with Indian vaccines as of right now. Definitely, they do need surveillance, and because obviously they were tested in trials in thousands of patients only, or in lab, but now we're going to give them in crores of people. So unexpected side effects may be observed, but like I said before, in any situation, one has to look at the possible benefits and possible harms. And if you keep this in mind, then taking the vaccine makes much more sense than not taking a vaccine.
Thank you so much, sir. And lastly, I would like to ask you if you have any message to share with our viewers.
Yeah. So yeah, I would again, at the cost of sounding boring and repetitive and monotonous, again, I would say most important things are masking, vaccine, safe distance. If we remember these three, it is very unlikely that we will get any serious COVID. It will be just like any other viral infection. Uh, these three are the most important. Let us not believe in everything which comes to us on social media. Let us be guided by more scientific, people and experts who are deciding things across the world right now. Let us not contribute to this to the misinformation campaigns which are going around across, especially in WhatsApp, by forwarding these kind of messages. So it's most important, I think, right now is to embrace vaccination. All the uh, reservations people have about fertility, about potency, about long-term illness or being paralyzed, all these are unfounded. The serious effects with vaccinations do happen. That can happen with almost any treatment in this world, including Ayurvedic and homeopathic and Unani medicines. The good news is that these side effects are exceedingly rare. So the chances of a person getting them are very, very less. So please don't fall prey to malicious campaigns going around on social media. Take your vaccine, and that will help you and your family also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for joining
You're
us, sir.
welcome. Bye.
Hello, guys, and thank you for watching the entire episode. Please don't forget to share this with your friends, and also please subscribe for the third episode.